In today's video, we are going to be breaking down how Jalen Green shoots the basketball. I believe he's going to be one of the top picks in this year's NBA draft. Now, currently he plays in the NBA Development League as a player coming straight out of high school, and he is shooting 24% from the three-point line. However, back not very long ago in the 2019 USA U19 national team, he was shooting 33.3% from the three-point line, which is a good percentage overall. Now, there is no good footage of him shooting in game for me to break down, but there is this training footage that was only posted a few months ago. Now let's get down and break down how Jalen Green shoots the basketball. Now, this first clip is really good. We can actually see the whole side of his shot, and we can see that obviously he made this shot. So what can we take away? Well, number one, when he goes and takes his shot, we want to start with our base. The base is going to be what gets us balance and consistency. And what we're going to see here is that his right foot is slightly ahead of his left, which is good. He is a right-handed shooter. Now, I would assume when he gets farther and farther back that right foot does tend to get farther and farther in front. That does give you more power as well. From there, what we also do see is that he has great energy transfer from his ankles up to his knees, up into his hips to get up into his shot. Now, something that a lot of players overlook is their heels. Are their heels off the ground when they're getting into their shot? And we can see from here that Jalen Green is onto his toes, off of his heels, because those calf muscles are going to be some of the fastest muscles in your body, and they're going to be really able to transfer a lot of power up into your shot. We can also see that when he dips, his shoulders are not necessarily in line with his knees and his toes. His knees actually come in front of his toes. Now, this could potentially create injuries in the future because it's an unnatural movement for most. However, if this is a natural movement for him, then there really wouldn't be all that much to worry about. Now, when he does gather the ball, he does gather at his waist, and he does have his right hand on top of the ball and his left hand on the bottom of the ball, which means that there's going to be a wrist roll going from his gather up into his set point. What this means for him is this could create some inconsistencies because there is a little bit of a wrist roll there because it's on the right side of the ball on top, and then it ends up being underneath the ball. But I'm not too worried about that. That's nothing that we would really have to worry about. It is noteworthy, however, for him. We can see that he's able to extend his knees as soon as he leaves that ground, and he does have a straight spine down to the floor, which will give him a nice up and down shot, and that is going to allow him to stay very consistent. From there, we can see that his shoulder is in line with his elbow towards the rim, which is going to give him the accuracy. If your elbow's out towards the right side, your shot is usually out left, and vice versa. However, he does have his shoulder in line with his elbow, and from other angles we can also see that the ball is slightly left of his elbow, and we can see that here. So we have the shoulder and also we have the elbow in line with the basketball net. However, that ball is out towards the left of his elbow. Now, to be a perfect shot, or at least a very stereotypical shot, we would have his elbow underneath that ball. But we can see here that he has a thumb flick very similar to Kyrie Irving as well as Steph Curry. Now, a thumb flick can affect your shot negatively, but it can also affect your shot positively. So here, he's able to push that ball up so that just before he releases, that ball is above his elbow. That's going to give him a straight shot. His thumb also releases from the ball before his right hand releases from the ball, which means that his thumb, other than pushing it up into the perfect ball over elbow form, then at that point you're not going to see the negative impacts of that thumb flick. So basically what happens with a thumb flick is usually when you have a thumb flick and you are flicking with the thumb at the same time as releasing that basketball. This is why a lot of coaches will always say stop using a thumb flick, because if you are releasing the ball with the right hand and still pushing with your thumb, what's going to happen is the ball could go out towards the right side, Also, what could happen is you're going to have the thumb affect the rotation on the basketball, and it could start rotating sideways. Now, why that is bad is because you want to have a nice backspin on the ball so that when it does hit that rim, it's going to hit that rim softer. And if you have a side spin to it, it's going to want to have that ball hit the rim, and that side spin is going to make it bounce off the rim. A backspin, however, makes that ball hit that rim, and because the momentum is taking the ball forward, a backspin is going to be pushing the ball back, which basically should equal out the amount of power going forward with the ball. So that's why a backspin is so important when you're shooting. But we do not see that here. We also do see that he does release the ball with his middle finger, which also leads us to believe that he will become a very good shooter. Now, if he could take a couple of tips from Steph Curry, which is to have a softer release. So he has what I call a hard release, which is his hand flicks down. That's something similar to a Michael Jordan style shot. If he was to curl his hand, that would be more like Steph Curry and also like Kyrie Irving. And with those players, they shoot with a thumb flick, and with a soft release, that's going to allow you to have that ball have that backwards rotation as well as the arc. He has that elbow above his forehead, and that would be a lot more of an accurate shot for him. I think that if he could just change that one thing and just have a nice soft release instead of having that hard release that we see there, the hard flick, instead of that, I think he could lift his 24% three-point shooting up into that 30% range once again that he had with Team USA. And this is what I mean by a hard flick. So he has that hard wrist. Now his fingertips do tend to bend down, but this is hard edges. What I guess you could call hard edges. If he could have a soft release, I think he could be a really, really good shooter. We can also see from this angle as well that he doesn't have that much space between his palm and the ball, and when you are shooting with not much space, when you are on the run, as in a catch and shot, when you're taking a few steps into your shot, which is what we see here, he's stepping into his shot, what's going to happen is if you do not have a space between your palm and the ball, that ball can travel to the left or right or wherever side that it really wants to, and the issue with that is you're not going to have that much control, especially if a player hits his elbow. So if he could get a little bit more space between his palm and the ball, he'll be all set. Now, there are times like with Steph Curry that we do see him shooting without a gap in his between his palm and the ball. We see that at free throw shots and things like that, and that can help some players, but when you are on the run like we see here, you really want to have a gap between the palm and the ball. I hope that this Jalen Green basketball shooting form video has helped you become a better basketball player and a better shooter in basketball. If it has, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.